Hey, folks, welcome back to Sports Talk with Alex and Felix. And of course, Super Bowl weekend. This is huge breaking news. First, we would like to give our condolences to the Bears, the organization,
Yeah.
and the family of the Mikowskis for their loss. Deeply sorrow
Yeah.
for her
Yeah.
what has happened. I think she was 102.
Yeah, well, yes, now, who is up in the new order, hopefully, it has to free.
Well, I mean, that's a possibility,
Yeah.
or they may sell it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the Bears.
Yeah.
If you're a Bears fan, you do know that your franchise is going in the right direction. You guys invested well. You got good coaching there. You got a fantastic young quarterback with an abundance of talent. Everything is going in the right direction. But it is, our condolences to the family that's there. But besides that breaking news, we want to talk about, obviously you had the ceremony and awards. MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, rookie player of the year, coach of the year. And obviously you do know that the game is on Sunday, and you got the Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and that will begin at 6:30. Of course, we'll get into that, but let's get around with the news in the NFL.
Yeah, let's talk about our offense. I knew it cut me because I was taking quarterback for what
to the rookie of the year of offensive rookie of the year, Daniels from Washington, the Commanders. We kind of knew that, considering how far he took his team and that franchise of getting to the NFC Championship versus the Eagles. Congratulations to that young man.
Okay, I want to defense put it up here, go to for the death of Marco, Patrick, Sutton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him as well.
Okay, we should after put up here for the Eagle. That's called Buckley. That for could be up, but or who talk about that after we talk about who got the MVP.
Okay.
Come back. Put up here, go shoot, go quarterback. Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
He is the prize. I'm the prize too.
Look, there was a lot of, obviously there was a few candidates, not a lot, but a few candidates that could have taken an award. But I believe the reward went into the right hands for Joe Burrow, who had an amazing season, believe it or not, even though their record didn't reflect it and they didn't make it into the playoffs. If we just look at individual stats, my man, he balled this year. No ifs, buts about it.
Okay, we're gonna move that to defense looking up the ear. Go to the A1. Why? Reachable see him pull off the ear. Hopefully, I got a good ear to a good career for him.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to start off his career as well on the defensive side of the ball. He's played really well all season, helped the Rams defense, to get them to the playoffs when they had such a very challenge in their division.
Okay, we got move on to Hall of Fame class of 2025.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to skip this just simply because I am honestly sad.
the conversation and the conversation who is gonna be going
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put again Eric Allen but that was Allen because you go Hall of Fame of KJ Flat. He's quite of KJ Flat. We're going to talk about who is going up because me you talk about our camera. Here feel that it's a lot of time to
Yeah, in other words, and this has always been a debate every year when they are selecting Hall of Famers. We all know that there's been, if you count all 31 teams and all the different positions that are played on the field, some players have been waiting a really long time and still haven't had their names called, who've literally have impacted the game. I mean, truly impacted the game. And you have some guys they're getting in, based off their gameplay, what they contribute, but it wasn't legendary. And I know some people are probably going to go ape crap on me about that, but it's the truth. There are some players, they've played really well, they've done well enough, and have retired, but there are some that are truly elite players who have played in the game. And there's no debate or arguing of that and saying that someone is less of, but when there are still some of these elite players who have literally have broken records, not just for their franchises, but within the league itself, and their names still haven't been called, it's a little bit saddening when you see somebody else who just really played well for their franchise, and they're being honored or called up before somebody who literally made greater sacrifices in a sense. So
okay, when you also come of the one co it goes to the head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Yes, congratulations to you, and and tremendous season, keeping that team poised and getting yourself as far as you have.
Okay,
The playoffs.
To the Walter Payton Man of the Year award goes to the defense put us at all. Congratulations to him. What a year for him. I all that we are talking about our MVP award goes to the Buffalo Bills quarterback, Josh Allen. To him.
Yes, congratulations to Josh Allen. We know that he was one of the candidates for this award. He finally got a MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take anything away from him. Now, I had this discussion with him off camera. And here's my problem with it. I know some people were Lamar fans and they wanted to see Lamar get the trophy again, a third year in a row. But here's what I'm looking at, and this is something that bothers me as a whole, because it's always a quarterback. It might as well just be a quarterback award, right? When I look at what Barkley brought to the table to the Philadelphia Eagles as an individual, there's no if buts to me, and I'm pretty sure his teammates will probably beg to differ, but I really believe that it was him who literally single-handedly helped them get to where they are, which is this weekend's Super Bowl, and possibly may win the Super Bowl. This man's talent, he's been in the league for some time now, and then he left an organization that didn't appreciate him and valued him and built around him, and they let him go. He went to Philadelphia. But when we look at the records this man has done just in a single season, and what he's doing in the playoffs and now to the Super Bowl, to me, I felt like they should have granted this to him. When I look at Lamar's stats for the last 3 seasons, it's the same. It's the same performance. Why am I giving you an award for something you do every year? It's the exact same thing. It's not, in other words, the first time it happened, oh wow, amazed. But you repeat the same performance 3 times, and I'm not talking about him losing at the play. I'm just talking about his stats, single stats as an individual, what he brings to the table. He's gifted. He's done this, and he makes it look easy. Right? Same thing with Josh, Burrow, Goff, all these quarterbacks. They had phenomenal seasons. Just look at their stats. Pull them all up, 1 through 10. But they could not have done what that young man has done. MVP award needs to start being shared with other players that perform on the field. It just should not. If that's the case, change the name of it. Don't be the most valuable player, because the most valuable player, no ifs buts about it, this year was Barkley, and I'm pretty sure his brethren in Philadelphia would honestly agree. There's no ifs buts about it. Change the dynamic of the game instantly. An instant footprint. He's gonna eventually, I mean, just this season alone, it's gonna eventually put him in the Hall of Fame just in a single season. We're gonna see Lamar perform the same way next year. He's gonna absolutely kill it. We're gonna see Josh Allen absolutely kill it. Patrick Mahomes and everybody else, they're gonna do the exact same thing every season. But somehow, we keep hearing quarterbacks' names called. No defensive player, no running back, no offensive lineman, no wide receiver, no tight end. I'm pretty sure these other positions, they would love to be put in that category, and not just put in there just for show, and then you end up giving the trophy to a quarterback. Like, literally give it to a player that is making such an impact on one individual franchise that carried them through the season and got them to where they need to be. If it's just a quarterback, then fine. But we all know there's 11 men on the offense, 11 men on the defense. And it's a shame that out of that, only one position seems to matter more than any other. And that's all I have to say about that. But congratulations to Josh Allen. Not to take nothing away from him. He had an amazing season. No ifs, buts about it. But that's expected now. Because to me, if I'm drafting a quarterback, those stats is what I'm looking for. For every kid that's coming out of college that's going to want to be a franchise quarterback, I'm looking for them to be up on that level. 4,000 yards, 4,500, 4,900, 5,000 yards passing, quarterback rating, and this, that, and the other. I'm looking at those things. That's the bar. So if that's the bar, and all these franchise quarterbacks are playing at that level, then why is it only they get this award? Make a separate award for the quarterbacks. But MVP should be exactly what that word means. The definition should mean the player that is going to, because there's one player on the defense and this man gets a killing and basically he's sacking every quarterback 7 times a game and they get all the way to the Super Bowl and they win. That's your MVP. Defensive back, this guy is not only just making all amount of tackles, but he's intercepting every top quarterback in the league, at least 4 interceptions a game or some crazy, just some bizarre craziness. That's your MVP. You got a running back that rushed for well over 2,000 plus yards in a single season. That is not easy. There's not a lot of running backs that have accomplished this in the NFL's 100 plus something years of existence. And he made it look easy. Obviously, your offensive line deserve a lot of credit, and they should get an award. Because if it wasn't for those people, obviously, it would have been a lot harder for him to accomplish those goals. But, yeah. So, let's move on.
Let's move on to
officiating. Yay! Wait. Listen to me. Did you see the interview with Goodell?
Yeah.
Did you guys see that interview? Oh my God. I have to say this because look, we've been talking about officiating, not just from this season, for the past couple of seasons. And let me tell you, he made it seem like it's a conspiracy. I have news for you, Mr. Goodell. You know, with today's technology, we have our own replay booth. The TVs of today, technology, aren't just 4K or 8K, but we can pause live TV. We can see. Not counting the fans that are in the stadium that can see. But it's insulting when you make it seem as if the fans who watch and come to see these organizations play, to watch their organization get robbed because you have officials who are blatant, making god-awful decisions and impacting games. And teams are going home with a loss on their record due to poor officiating. They should be held accountable. And I hope after this Super Bowl that you guys take what Troy Aikman says seriously, because the fans, at some point, it's going to get worse. And it's going to get to a point that when the fans had enough, then you guys are going to want to make the change. Take it seriously. The reporter wasn't just throwing a question out there for you as a joke. It is serious. You have fans that have had it. And it's going to get to the point where they really had it. And when that happens, then the whole league is going to suffer because of the fact that you aren't able to control what is happening on your fields. You're the guy in charge, fix it. Fix it. Because the last Super Bowl, we seen a lot of holding. A lot. And the fans know the rules. We know. We watch the sport. Some of us been raised in it. We've had family members play. We know it. And when we see hands not in the right place where they belong, and we see jerseys all messed up and helmets pushed up, we know that there's hands to the face. We know that there's holding. When we see a wide receiver and their hips get turned and their body turned a certain position, we know. We know. We're watching. So please don't insult the fans. Please don't. And take it very seriously. When the reporter asked you, make sure this offseason you sit down with the owners before you make any league rule changes, and discuss how you guys want to go about dealing with the officiating. Because if it's not going to change, it's not good. In case for those who aren't aware, if you're not aware, if you haven't seen the documentary on Netflix about the NBA, the years of Michael Jordan, how officiating was done, yeah. We know it happens. It's not impossible. And we need officials with integrity and honor and that's there to do their job and do it right. And do what's best for the fans and the players on the field. And for the few additional seconds that it take to get, I guess, okayed or checked with New York, the main people who are watching, I would rather that than to see a franchise get eliminated or end up getting a loss that they didn't deserve to have due to a third party. So, sorry. Go ahead.
I can put up also our best friend I thought the Super Bowl, we got a couple of out of the routine. What the Aaron Cooper, Cooper Cup at the out and get ready for the Brown hat. Where do you think Cooper Cup would go?
Look, I'm not sure. When we looked at salary cap space, there's not a lot of teams right now that have like an overwhelming amount of space. The one that has the most right now is the Patriots. They have a $124 million space right now above the salary cap, so they can get anybody they want. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they grab both of them and change the dynamic of their team overnight. I know that the Rams is probably saying, hey, we're going to move on from Cooper Kupp because he's getting up in age. Plus, there's a lot of young talent coming out of this draft on the receiver side. So that's understandable. Plus, they probably want to make some salary cap room themselves. And then on the defensive side, he doesn't have an abundance of teams that can come to his backing. There's some teams that absolutely need him, like the Bills, but they don't really have the cap space to bring in a guy like him. Now, unless he's willing to take a pay cut, that will definitely send you to the Super Bowl, Josh Allen. You hear me? You need to be in your coach's ear, in the owner's ear. You need help on the defensive side. I know everybody looked at the poor officiating with that game with the Chiefs, but let me tell you something. If you guys had an insane pass rush to stop Patrick Mahomes, let me tell you, you won't need to worry about officiating, okay? Because the defense would have stopped them, and they would have been punting the ball all night. And guess what? They wouldn't have been able to put no points on the board. This is the third season in a row, I think. What year was it when they lost that Super Bowl in 13 seconds in overtime?
The championship game.
Was that 2 years ago? That was 2 years ago, right?
No, 3.
3 years ago?
Two.
Okay, so it was 2 years ago, because this is 2024 season, even though, yes, you were in the year 2025. So 2 years ago, when you guys lost that game, your defense was exhausted.
Yeah.
It was the defense. The ball was not in your hands last. You didn't have the last possession. Mahomes had the last possession. So the Buffalo Bills, what you guys need is defense. Please, this draft. I'm not a Bills fan, but holy crap, I love when you guys go up against the Chiefs. The games are very entertaining. But it's about time that you guys start thinking outside the box. What's costing you those games is being able to take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. Period. And the way you do that is having a good defense that can get them off the field and force them to punt. Then you don't have to worry about him marching down the field in 13 seconds anymore. So I don't know how you guys would do it, but if you can get him, get him. Because that's what you need. You really need a pass rusher. All I know, if you guys pick him up, because you know what? The Eagles have the cap. They could get him. Wink, wink. That would be back-to-back Super Bowls for you guys. I'm just saying, absolutely. That would be back-to-back guaranteed Super Bowl with you guys. So there's a couple of teams he could literally go to that would
he would to go to City.
Well, look. If I was going into the NFL, I want to go to a team that is that close to getting to Super Bowl, and I would love to be that one component to help them get there. That would be magical. Obviously, you got like Minnesota, even Detroit. They had a lot of injuries. There are a few teams that he can make a big difference in real quick overnight, and that will be an immediate Super Bowl contender wherever he goes. And that's, just keep in mind, he asked for a trade. That wasn't Cleveland trying to upload him or get rid of him. He asked for a trade, so Cleveland has to be willing to be able to trade him. That's the first thing. And somebody's going to have to give up a little bit more than just paying him on a salary cap. It's not like he's being waived or cut, right? They're going to have to give up some draft picks to get this man and put them on their team. So
okay.
Also breaking news, there's rumors that, and I hate giving this kind of news, that our boy, his wings is being clipped down in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins. So he might be getting waived or cut. Don't know yet. I mean, that's almost like telling somebody they're fired, but
okay.
But it is out there.
Okay, before we get into Liverpool, there was one more rumor that they put New York.
Is it Winston?
Yeah.
Hey Winston, listen, don't do it. Don't do it. I know you say you would love to be in that franchise or play or quarterback for that franchise. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look, you seeing it with your own two optics, your eyes. If they treated somebody that was gifted, Saquon Barkley, and let that man leave because they didn't want to pay, because at the end of the day, everything is money. But I'm going to tell you, all these franchises, all of them have money. And if you listen to what Burrow said yesterday, okay, when he was asked by Stephen A. Smith about the Bengals retaining the players so that these guys can be competitive, you know what he said? He looked into the camera. He says, yeah, they need to. They need to, because if you're not willing to pay, somebody else is going to pay those young men, right? Somebody's going to do it around the league. It might as well should be you, the franchise, because at the end of the day, the goal is get to a Super Bowl. The money comes back. It comes back. With all the rewards you'll get once you get to the Super Bowl, especially if you make it to the Super Bowl, forget about it. All the advertising, sponsors, all that stuff. It's dumbfounded about the amount of money that comes in versus, let me penny pinch, and we're going to try to save here or there, and I could probably pick up one or two other players and help build an offensive line. That corny crap that you've come up with, people want to see results now.
Okay.
So, Winston, don't do it. That is not the place for you. That is not the place for you. I get it. Do not do it. You'll be fooled. I'm telling you, I was a longtime fan of the New York Giants. Do not. You will regret it.
Okay.
Pick a team that you know that is close. You're not a young chicken anymore. You're not old, but you're not a young chicken anymore. Find you a team that's close, somebody that you know, a franchise.
Okay.
Invest.
Okay. Listen, on that day, they had a meeting in the Super Bowl, and Jacob Buckley, actually Jimmy Wilson, Buckley, where the he was go. No, not Buckley. Buckley, I want to see you when you, in a bad pick. That team right now has more of a problem.
They do. It's bad.
Defense, offense, kicker,
not just with the players. You're talking about the people who are literally running that organization, who have made god-awful decisions. Not just poor decisions, I mean god-awful decisions. They have not invested well in that franchise. And you have the money to do so, and I'll state it again, because if you watch some of our earlier videos, maybe you should sell it to somebody that is willing to invest in it and keep the name and that organization, the reputation that it once had. You talk about 14 seasons. 14. There's no way that if I was in any of those people's shoes, we have lost 14 straight seasons to the Cowboys. There is no way. I would have turned this planet upside down. That was your biggest rival in your division and has been since the Cowboys arrived there. More so than the Eagles, more so than Washington, which were both there much longer before the Cowboys. Remember, the Cowboys was the last team in, was a young franchise when it first came in. But you guys built a complete rival, which was super delicious when it came to entertainment.
Okay.
And fans loved it. Whether you were a Cowboys fan or you were a Giants fan, loved it, ate it up. And you guys have not been competitive against your biggest rival in your own division for 14 seasons. Okay. They've swept you every single time. So there is no way. You guys have made horrible decisions with that franchise. And I'm telling you, Winston, do not go there. Don't even think it. Don't even entertain it. Not unless you're just searching and chasing money, dollar signs. I wouldn't even waste my time. Go someplace where you have a chance to make an impact. And you will be blessed. Do not waste your time at a franchise that don't want you.
Okay. I think before the Super Bowl pick, the new head coach, the new head coach that they open people but they are really interesting. My offense coach.
Oh, the Philadelphia Eagles. I know. That's who they want to probably grab. Look, at this point, the Super Bowl is here. It's upon us. After the Super Bowl, there'll be a lot more conversations and discussions that could be made for the Saints. And hopefully, again, pick wisely. Don't throw away an entire season. Please pick wisely. Your fans deserve it. I am more for the fans because, look, a lot of people spend a lot of money, of their hard-earned money, to come watch these players play. They're very supportive of your franchise and your organizations, and sometimes it's a big outlet for them, whatever's going on in their lives. The last thing they need is somebody pouring gasoline of stress and aggravation and frustration and disappointment. That's what you guys bring. You're in the entertainment business, basically, in a sync form. I know it's an athletic sport, but you are performing for people that are in those stands or at home, and they deserve nothing more than for you to put the best effort in of making a smart, logical decision of what's going to be best in a long haul, not temporary, long haul for your franchise. And if you need a business-minded person, if you just take away the sports and all of that, you need somebody that's willing to run your company, that's going to do right by the company and your staff. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. We are all that game that we before the football. They were technically like a bill. It's an equal. We're going to do Eagles first.
Well, look, let's do the Kansas City and Washington, the Kansas City and the Bills game, because at the end of the day, that game everybody had their eyes on it, right? Regardless of how people felt about the Eagles and Washington, because a lot of people felt like, oh, I didn't want either one of those two teams. So we're going to talk about you guys at the end, but let's talk about the game that everyone expected, like myself as a fan, because again, those two franchises, they meet up. It has always been super delicious with entertainment, down to the wire and everything else. My expectation was just a slight disappointment, not just because of poor officiating, but just because I felt like, man, I really wanted more. I wanted more like the game you had during the regular season, and I didn't see that. And I'm talking about the Bills. So,
okay, for me, it's the same thing. But at the pit, it was so high.
It was.
It got to your half, boom, it fell apart. And it was one that game.
It didn't live up to the hype that they've had. They've had us up here, cliffhangers, every single game, every year since Josh got drafted and came into the league, and him and Mahomes started squaring off against each other. Those games, you can't make them up. They've just been so entertaining, and then not to live up to that. And I'm just gonna say, look, you know where it all went wrong? It started in the very beginning, when the coaches told the Bills just relax, right? And I felt like that mindset, that changed whatever it was you guys were doing before is what you guys needed in that game. Now, you guys played a good strategy to the game, but you didn't really necessarily have 100% the personnel, which is definitely on the defensive side, to get these guys off the field. That's the one thing I've noticed repeatedly. Let's look at the Super Bowls. You know, Mahomes lost against a really good Bucs defense. They disrupted him and they got him off the field. Even in the Super Bowls that he ended up winning and they ended up being close, like the 49ers and the one previously with the Eagles, they were really close. One player would have made a difference on those defenses, and guess what would have happened? It would have been a different outcome. Same thing with the 49ers. They needed their defense to stop them, and they would have never made it to overtime. The game would have been over. But that didn't happen. And then, of course, you allow officiating to impact the game. So for you coaches, you need to wake up. If Mr. Goodell isn't going to change anything, and they're going to say, look, we're going to continue with this, the way officiating is, then stack your team. Get yourself a good defense where you're not giving the opponent an opportunity. Shut them down. Andy Reid's good, but he's not a god. Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator, but he has holes in his defenses at times. They are beatable. Everyone needs to be in that film room every week when you know that you got these guys coming up. The holes are there. They're there. But you got to have the personnel as well, willing and able to fill those gaps. And I'm going to tell you that matchup did not live up to the hype that it could have been. And you guys definitely need to invest in some of your in the defensive side. I hope this draft, and we're watching, we'll be covering the draft. Please, 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 please invest well. Invest well.
Okay, let's talk about the game as well.
Now, believe it or not, that game was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Even though the score was lopsided at the end of the day. I ain't gonna lie. That entire game, I know if I was a Commanders fan, I would have been disappointed that my team lost. But when I look at the energy of that game entirety from beginning to end, very entertaining. Very entertaining. You didn't know what was going to be next.
Yeah.
Washington kept trying to claw their way back and fight back. But again, eventually, the number one defense took over. And the game got lopsided towards the end. But even with it being lopsided, even when we got in the third quarter, it was still tons of energy. And you could just see it. You can see it.
For me, I admit the game for Broccoli. I admit the game for her. I admit the game for AJ Brown. I admit the game for the defense of the head coach. And yet, he does not get head coach. It does play. Does play he gets me as a head coach. But he gets the move on to the Super Bowl. The fact goes for Eagles and what it gave was 35-3. And then for Tennessee, it was 32 by KA, I believe. We are moving on to Super Bowl pick. A big game for a head coach, Mahomes, Bucky, potential. What defense call, top end, defense coordinator, defense is on the GM. This game, and not like the game, people. This game, it allows the whole globe.
Yep.
You can look at it. Yeah, go with these countries. You can look at it, Japan, America, Canada. This game is gonna be global. Big up and like a game for America. So, what a big game. A remake of 2 years ago. Can't see it 8 years ago. Two different teams, of course, they call they had coach, but the offense change, defense change for both teams. So, how do you feel who got to the Super Bowl win?
Well, look, this is a very interesting game, right? And I usually look at stats, I look at history between franchises and things like that before I make a pick. There's a lot of things that suggest that the Kansas City Chiefs would normally win this game against the Eagles. One, since Andy Reid parted ways from the Eagles have not really defeated him. And that's one stat in itself, right? Then we look at, all the quarterbacks that Mahomes have gone up against and how many franchises he have beaten during the regular season, as well as the Super Bowls. And everybody's had their struggles with him. So once again, that's another stat in favor of the Chiefs. And we look at Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator. As a defensive coordinator in these big games, he has literally been unstoppable. Okay? He hasn't lost, right? And so I'm going to throw all of that out the window. I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this game, because this Eagles team is definitely a much improved Eagles team that they went up against just 2 years ago. First of all, you got an elite player running back, which I know the defense is going to try to do everything in their best power to stop this man, but it ain't going to stop. As we've seen all season long, whether teams put all 11 men on the line to try to stop him, or if they tried to play man, one way or another, you're going to get torched. So that's a huge, huge factor. He wasn't a factor 2 years ago. He's a factor now. Then we look at the other factor on the other side of the ball, defensively. The Eagles fell a little bit short defensively. Andy Reid and them did their work, and they found a way to manipulate the defense, and they ended up beating you guys in the Super Bowl. Well, you guys have the number one defense in all of the NFL. And even though, yes, you guys are banged up, I think these men are ready. I think they're ready. I think they're excited, and I like what I see. And the one thing I told you that I've seen out of your franchise is not just being solid on both special teams, offense and defense, but mentally, those men seem to be very prepared every game. And that makes all the world of difference for what I see from other franchises. And I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think the Eagles bring home the trophy.
Okay.
To Philadelphia.
Okay. Let's talk about a quick history about the Eagles. Back in 2004, compared to the Eagles, I think we remember it. That a long time ago.
Right, that was with Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, okay. What happened? Compared to one, okay?
Yep.
Fast forward, a lot year 2018. What happened?
You guys faced them again.
Again.
But this time, different coaches,
different head coaches,
different players.
Started the new for top with the preparation. And we won.
But the energy of that game was different than the game that you guys played in earlier with Andy Reid. When I tell you the electricity that was flowing, even that whole entire season. And what did I say? Because you didn't even believe me. You were really upset when your team struggled in the regular season. And I told you, once you guys got the player from Miami, I can't think of his name right now, the running back, I told you that was the last component you guys needed, and this was going to send you guys to Super Bowl. And you guys went into that playoffs as underdogs, and you guys trucked through all those teams and went on to Super Bowl. And you guys won, which I predicted you guys would win.
Okay.
So now go to 2022.
Yes, sir.
A different head coach.
Different head coach. Yes, sir. Nick. Yeah. Andy Reid from the Eagles. Our head coach.
You guys have Hurts, different quarterback.
No, we have Oh yeah,
He
okay.
did not start in the 2018.
No,
Okay.
no.
So he was now the
Yeah.
starter in 2022.
Yeah.
You have a different quarterback.
Yeah. Different quarterback and a different head coach. But our head coach Nick beat her. The outside he come home and we what we do, we up and give every mom that trophy. We're then watching this game, the upcoming Super Bowl. What the away, it's a 15, it's a 15 from home, every week, they two quarterback and head coach for
Eagles.
Eagles. But what we do have is a quarterback 2 years ago. Now we beat the Kabaki. Remember, this kid is 13. All we need is what guy.
No, you guys also added pieces to your defense.
Yeah.
You got to understand what that means to be the number one defense in all of the NFL. Out of 31 teams, you guys have the right components on the other side of the football. And, you can press just with your front four. A lot of teams can't do that. Like you take Buffalo, for example. If they press with their front four, then they're vulnerable on the back end, right? You guys can press with your front four and not be vulnerable on the back end. So that means quarterbacks have a less of a chance to get rid of that football because you have both on the back end and you have 4 men on the front end that can either, one, if they decide to push hard, as if they really get aggressive, right? Like the Giants did that one year against Tom Brady and in the Super Bowl when they overloaded the offensive line, and Tom was just like, "Oh my God, I can't stop these guys? Like, what is going on here? If you guys got aggressive like that, Mahomes don't stand a chance. He ain't fast enough.
Yeah.
He can't run fast enough. He can't throw fast enough. He will go down." And that's kind of what the Bucs did to him in that Super Bowl. He was constantly frustrated. He could never plant his feet. He didn't have time to sit in the pocket. And if he ran, they forced him to one side. They basically contained him and shut him down and shut down his offense. And guess what? Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl. You guys have a defense that is capable of doing whatever your coaches designed for them to do against that Kansas City offense. And yes, with the added piece of the running back, Saquon Barkley, he is going to be a handful because he's not just a ordinary running back. This is a guy that if they have to get him started and he can't just get through the line for whatever reason, and they start doing screenplays, he's fast, he's dangerous. He's also very powerful. He breaks through the first set of tackles. And if that doesn't work, he can also be wide receiver if he needs to be. He has incredible hands for a running back. He's a very dangerous weapon to have on your franchise, and this is what I think puts the overkill on what is going to be expected. I expect from Holmes and them to come out, and they're going to test your defense, and it's going to come down to your defense. It's not going to come down to Barkley. Barkley and Hurts, their offense is going to get what it needs to get. But defensively, can you get those guys off the field? And that's what's going to matter. How healthy is your defense? Because as you've seen, when you got in the playoffs, you had guys go down. But if they're back and they're able to play, and the Chiefs aren't cheating, hate to say that word for them, there should be no reason why you guys don't convincingly bring home that trophy.
Yeah. But Kansas City, we have football. People put over a lot of that game because before it be go out what I have it okay. But anyway, this game is not like Kansas City. I believe it's gonna be come to figure out.
Don't say blowout. I was gonna say
No.
You say blowout.
No.
I was gonna say damn.
No, it's not gonna be, but it probably come to figure out. Just like the picture is the time around team.
It might come down to the wire, but it may not.
Yeah.
If your defense, like I said, I've been telling you this, it doesn't matter what the franchise is, a defense has one role, right? Because the object of the game, if you just look at the rule book, is how many possessions you're going to get per quarter. So if a defense get a team off the field each quarter, that means you force them to punt at least once or twice in a quarter. That means you get, as an offense, more possessions and more opportunity to score. That's the name of the game. You need your defense to get a stop, force them to punt, get your offense another opportunity back on the field, and give them a chance to get down the field and score. The more opportunities you get to score, the higher your chances are to win the game. If your defense cannot stop an offense, and another offense is able to march themselves down the field, again, doesn't matter what the teams are, and they march down the field no matter how much time they take off the clock, and they, whether it's 3 points, whether it's 7 points, if they score, you're going to lose the game.
Okay.
It's just that simple. It's easy.
Okay.
So your defense has to make sure that they send a message from the first quarter and every quarter. They can't get like the Atlanta Falcons did.
Yeah.
Play well for 3 quarters, three and a half quarters. And then with 5 minutes left, blow a 28-point lead. Because they spent so much energy just trying to get to Tom all game long, which they did, but then ran out of gas at the last 5 minutes in the game.
That is the really one.
So
for me, I gotta pick the Eagles. You better win, Eagles. You better win.
You guys hear it.
It was okay. This time, when we look at the league, we look at defense coordinator because that defense coordinator that is 2 years ago.
Not only that, I mean, look, he was the Giants' defensive coordinator for many years, and he was going up against the Eagles many of times. So, you guys should be very familiar with Spagnuolo, and although your defensive coordinator has not played well, has not defended well against Patrick Mahomes, he has components now that should help him, and he should have a strategy on how he's going to implement that. And be able to, like I said, the object is to get him off the field, right? Have him punt and punt and punt. You shut down that offense and you take that away, and then don't do that for 3 quarters. Don't do that for 3 quarters and the game is lopsided and you guys are up 30, let's say 34-6 or something like that. And then suddenly you get in the 4th quarter and they start coming back. I don't want to see that. You know, I'm saying literally play the game and play it smart, conserve your energy, don't exert yourself, and play smart football.
And watch the captain key. Watch. Don't get them a flag. Oh no.
Well, look, here's the problem, right? Again, don't leave it up to the officiating.
Yeah.
So if you're a franchise, or if you look at it like boxing, right? Boxers know when they're going to go up against certain judges, so they know certain judges have certain reputations of if that fight goes to distance, what's going to happen, right? It's going to either be a draw or it's going to go unanimous towards the other guy. We've seen this a million times with professional boxing on all levels, from the lightest weight to the heaviest weight. We've seen it in big matches, right? When it's been a title match. And then all hell breaks loose because the judges, you left it up to the judges. Finish your opponent. The way you finish your opponent in football is, like I said, get them off the field. Get them to punt that football back. When you get them 3rd and long, shut them down. Don't give them an opportunity. Do not give them an opportunity. When I say give them an opportunity, that means penalties on yourself. That means if you go cover somebody, don't grab, don't do anything that's going to give them a new set of downs. We know this is the trick with the Chiefs, and we've watched it repeatedly with every franchise and every kind of defenses that they've gone against. They love to get you to get some kind of penalties, and officials are already looking for it. Don't turn nobody's hips. Don't do none of those things. If you're on a defense, if you're on the backside of that defense, play smart. If you're on the front line, you're the front four. Make sure you're not getting hands to the face. Make sure you're not in the neutral zone. Don't do things that is going to give them a new set of downs. Let them do their 3 and out. And if they want to go for it on 4th down, fine, go for it, then 4th and out. But that gives you the ball in a better field position. But either way, that's how you got to calculate. That's how you got to think. And as a unit, you guys got to think as one mind, not two. No mistakes. No getting in nobody's face. Don't let them get in your face and get you ejected from the game. No stupidity. Because that's how they're gonna try to defeat you. They're either gonna try to get you ejected, right? By trying to pick a fight with you in some shape or form. That gets you out of the game. Now the defense is vulnerable because you don't have a key piece there. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated. Go there with the same mindset you've had all season. Play your game, but play smart and get them off the field. You do that, you win the game. Your offense is going to take care of itself. Even I know people complained, oh, Jalen Hurts only threw for 124 yards or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And that Super Bowl, when you guys lost in 2022, he threw for well over 300-something yards. He had a phenomenal game as an individual, and you guys still lost. It was the defense that couldn't get Mahomes and him off the field. And 2, control the clock. Remember, every first down you get takes 45 seconds off the clock. Manage your clock well. That's another thing. You get your first downs on offense, you're using up the clock. Just be smart.
And your defense can rest.
And your defense can rest. That's it. Just be smart. There's strategy to play when it comes to football if you want to be a strategist. Or you could just play purely off talent. I know your coach at times, he likes to play with the high drama, right? That's just what he does, and it drives me absolutely crazy because that's a New York Giant tactic, and I'm not a fan of that at all, of driving your fans crazy. I want you to ball out. I want you to use all the talent and gifts that you guys have and go out and just play your game. But you have a coach, and your organization do like to kind of play that little bit of a drama, but just, again, be solid. Solid with your game mentally, solid with your gameplay on the field. And if you guys stay professional and you win this game, it changes the whole dynamic. Plus, there's never been a team that have ever three-peated and actually won their third Super Bowl. There's been teams that get there 3 times in a row or more and have lost, okay? I wouldn't want to give the Chiefs that at all whatsoever. That's just, that in my mind, if I was preparing for this game, I would first be going to bed early. I would be ready for this game come that day. And there would be one thing I would definitely want to make sure I deny them is that they don't get that.
Okay.
So
This will end the 2024 season off with a bang. Who thinks that is the captain of the Eagles?
Yeah.
That is the comment. Hopefully you have popcorn, barbecue, pizza, whatever you want before this footage so you can enjoy the game. We know that me and will watch the game and after the game probably Monday will probably cover who reached the Super Bowl. Be able to reach the Super Bowl. This will what at the end.
yeah, absolutely.
And we will give you
Absolutely.
we will after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.